There are two types of men who have large amounts of children. And I know that when I say large amounts of children, like that number is subjective, obviously. The first type of guy in that situation is going to be a guy that isn't intentionally trying to have a lot of kids. He's just completely irresponsible, doesn't actually believe he should be able to take any responsibility for anything, just wants to sleep around, he just wants to be promiscuous, he really just wants to get his rocks off, and he does not care what the consequences are. He doesn't care if he makes a baby, he doesn't make a baby, he doesn't think that he should be responsible for any of his actions, and honestly, this could happen with just one woman. And I think, unfortunately, some of these families, not every large family is like this, but there are some families where they have so many kids because the husband just believes that he should be able to get what he wants when he wants it, and doesn't matter how many kids he has because he's probably not going to take responsibility for them anyway. But that's more likely to happen when you have a guy with like multiple baby mamas, basically. He just doesn't believe that he should take any kind of responsibility or precautions or anything, and he's probably not going to take care of the kids anyway, so he doesn't really care. It's just a very irresponsible guy. The second type of man that ends up with an excessive number of kids is the guy who is actually trying to have a lot of children. And a man that is trying to have like a lot of children, like in the sense of he's trying to like repopulate the earth by having so many kids, is usually a guy with like a god complex. Somebody with like a serious ego issue, like he thinks it's his job to repopulate the earth because like his genetics are like so special that he needs to just overpopulate the planet by just making kids after kids after kids. So he's intentionally going into it making a lot of kids, and I do think there's some overlap in those two personalities. Again, one of them is just a complete lack of responsibility. One is like an intentional act, but it's usually an act of like ego, a god complex type of thing. And before anybody goes into the inevitable, like, what about women that have a lot of kids? Women having a lot of kids is a different conversation. A woman's decision to have kids is a completely separate thing because women's bodies obviously have to carry the child, birth the child. It's a whole other process. So there's a lot more psychology behind it, whereas for men, there's much less that they have to do in order to produce a child. The psychology is a little bit simpler.